Good evening. I'm Peter Fishman, President of Voices of Hope. Thank you for joining us tonight and welcome to our 2020 annual meeting. We're excited to share with you our accomplishments, the obstacles we have had to overcome, and the goals we have set for our future. Since March, it has been repeatedly said, and it continues to remain true. 2020 has been a year like none that has come before it. We all long to return to normalcy, and hopefully we will all see improvements in the coming years so that we may be able to be together again without barriers between us, like computer screens, masks, face shields, and the physical distancing limitations we have all had to endure. However, as we look back at the past year, we recognize that along with these challenges came new and exciting opportunities. Thanks to the support of our wonderful community, both near and far, and with the help of our community partners, Voices of Hope has not only survived COVID-19, but has flourished and matured. We have expanded our programming, embraced virtual technology, extended our geographical reach, achieved our fundraising goals, and most importantly, increased our impact in our community and beyond. I could not be prouder of all that we have achieved in spite of this pandemic. I hope tonight's program will show you how Voices of Hope remains true to its mission, promoting a culture of courage to stand up against hatred through Holocaust and genocide education and remembrance. And now our professional staff will begin tonight's presentation. But before turning the program over to them, and on behalf of the organization and myself, I would like to thank Kathy, Robin, and Kim for their enthusiasm, unending efforts, ability to reinvent how we operate, and their pursuit of reinventing Voices of Hope in a new virtual world. Because of you, we have thrived, grown, and prospered. None of this transition would have happened without you. There were no directions, and you have mastered Zoom, Prezi, and other virtual platforms so that we could continue to do what we do best: educate, commemorate, and remember. Now, please welcome Kathy Fishman, Executive Director, Robin Landau, Director of Programs and Development, and Kimberly Bolero, our hero, who is the Holocaust Education Resource and Outreach Center's Director. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. We really appreciate all that you and the board do for our organization. My name is Kathy Fishman, and I'm the Executive Director of Voices of Hope. Our mission is to create a culture of courage to stand up against hatred through Holocaust and genocide education and remembrance. Let's begin tonight by taking a look at some of our commemorative programs of 2020. In January, we hosted our 10th annual International Holocaust Remembrance Day. This year coincided with the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. Following a community-wide luncheon, where we were joined by a number of Connecticut legislators and where we presented the Hesed Award to our dear friends Eva Weichsel-Hausman and Harry Weichsel, we gathered to watch Robbery of the Heart, a documentary telling the story about the Weichsel's family return to their hometown of Wetter, Germany on the 70th anniversary of Kristallnacht. Yom HaShoah looked very different this year. Scheduled for a few weeks following the beginning of the shutdown, we were initially uncertain how we would proceed in a meaningful way. As good fortune would have it, Voices of Hope has an incredibly talented, kind, and hardworking board member who also happens to be a retired ESPN cameraman. Jeff Israel spent countless hours putting together a beautiful Yom HaShoah commemoration that was live streamed to hundreds of people. Thus began Voices of Hope's first foray into virtual programming that came to define our year. Our deepest thanks goes to our community partner, the Mandel JCC, who helps us honor the memory of the 6 million each year. Following the success of the virtual Yom HaShoah commemoration, Voices of Hope and the Mandel JCC were determined to carry through with our annual practice of holding a day-long reading of the names of those who perished in the Shoah. Of course, it looked very different this year, as we weren't in the Chase Gallery at the JCC. Through the hard work of our chair, Jessica Samuels, volunteers signed on to Facebook Live from 8 o'clock in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon to continuously read names of those who perished, in recognition and understanding that each individual who was murdered was more than a number, but was a person with family, friends, interests, and experiences. Our required virtual format actually reached almost 4,700 people with this important message.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Bolero, and I'm the Director of the Holocaust Education Resource and Outreach, or HERO Center. Education is as equally important to our mission as memory. We must ensure that the world understands the history of the Holocaust so that we recognize evil when it occurs and act swiftly to prevent it. Voices of Hope is committed to providing educational programming for the community, families of survivors, students, and educators. We were lucky to hold 2 in-person programs prior to the quarantine, the Lados List and the showing of Saul and Ruby through the Greater Hartford Jewish Film Festival. At the initiative of author and descendant Heidi Fishman, members of the community gathered for a lunch and learn with a Polish ambassador and historian to learn about a secret mission to save Jews in Nazi-occupied Europe. It was this mission that provided passports to our own Tootie Fishman and her family, which ultimately saved their lives. Each year, Voices of Hope also strives to screen a film that speaks to our mission. Saul and Ruby is a beautiful story about finding peace through music and friendship. Thank you to the Lozowski family and to Peter Fishman and family for their continued sponsorship.
Sorry about that. Hi, I'm Robin Landau. I am the Director of Programs and Development. A short couple of weeks following the Lados program, Connecticut went into lockdown, and Voices of Hope quickly pivoted to providing its programs virtually using Zoom, Facebook Live, and YouTube. Almost overnight, Voices of Hope's virtual presence increased significantly, posting Testimony Tuesdays featuring different survivor stories weekly, posting This Day in History, commemorating historical events, posting student projects, and hosting live book discussions. Before the shutdown, Voices of Hope was completing plans for its second Descendants of the Shoah conference to be held in the fall. Presenters and the venue were booked. Details were being attended to. When it became clear that we would not be able to hold a live conference in 2020, the committee was very disappointed. Then Voices of Hope board members suggested that we host a series of speakers virtually, and the summer series was created. The summer series featured 7 Zoom conversations with authors, a filmmaker, a historian, and a rabbi. Almost 500 people participated in these programs, most of whom were new to Voices of Hope. The success of the summer series was built on the very situation which was created by COVID. People were brought together at a time when they were unable to go to live events, and Voices of Hope was able to showcase speakers from places as far-reaching as Australia by connecting with a keystroke rather than an airline flight across the world. We are excited to be bringing the community more speakers in 2021. Voices of Hope, along with Holocaust education entities, recognizes that the most impactful education comes from hearing live testimony from survivors. As we marked the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz in 2020, we sadly faced the realization that there are fewer survivors who are able to provide this testimony, and recognize that we must find a way to create this impact in alternative ways. Voices of Hope and its active membership of children and grandchildren of survivors believe that it is the descendants of survivors who will continue to carry on the legacy and shoulder this responsibility.
In July, Voices of Hope held a pilot program for 10 individuals called Passing the Torch, the Responsibility of Descendants, a virtual mini course for descendants of survivors instructed by Dr. Avi Noam Pat. Participants learned about the historical aspects surrounding their families' experiences. They also began creating presentations that they could then use while working with students. The goal of this class is to give the descendants of survivors the tools they need to become the next generation of witnesses. Following completion of the course, participants will be able to put their family's personal stories into a broader historical perspective, as well as learn methods to communicate these stories in a way that will effectively educate students. This is a course that we plan on offering to additional people in the future. A number of children of survivors also participate in a book club where they read and discuss books, and also have the opportunity to have some time to speak with each other about shared experiences. This year, the book club read the 5 books on the screen shown here.
Sorry, everybody, I have to get back to that screen, so excuse me for a minute. I'm not sure what happened. 1 second. We're just going to have to fly through it real quickly. I apologize. You get to see it again, and somehow, here we go. Back to the summer series. Back to the descendants. We thought you might want to see it twice. These are the book club books. Thank you, Kathy.
I think this is a really great moment to thank Robin for all of the amazing work that she has put into this presentation, and learning how to lead us through it. So thank you, Robin.
You're welcome. Sorry about that.
Okay, so to continue, really like everything else, Voices of Hope's work with students needed to evolve to meet the needs of virtual learning. An initial priority for 2020 was to create a traveling exhibit based on the Hartford Remembers the Holocaust exhibit housed at the Museum of Jewish Civilization at the University of Hartford. We had experienced a significant increase in demand from schools for museum tours, and we recognized that creating a travel exhibit would allow us to reach many more students and expand our reach across the state. As the international pandemic reached us in Connecticut and remote and hybrid learning commenced, we realized that schools needed a virtual way to visit the museum. We were very excited to launch our new virtual exhibit, Connecticut Remembers the Holocaust, back in October. This new website is based on the physical exhibit, which I mentioned just a moment ago. With the help of our wonderful educator partners, master teachers Elizabeth Devine and Tracy Wilson, as well as media specialist Denise DeMello, the new site highlights the stories of 6 local survivors and includes oral testimony and brand new curricula for middle and high school grade levels. While school districts remain in mostly hybrid structures, educators and students can still access exhibit content and complete curriculum from the classroom or from home. Our goal is to expand this exhibit to house more stories of survival from both the Holocaust and other genocides. The opportunity for growth and expansion is tremendous, and we look forward to working with educators, students, and community partners to make that happen. A cornerstone of Holocaust education is survivor testimony. We were fortunate enough to reach a number of groups with in-person speaking engagements in the first quarter of 2020. Of course, we also had to rethink how we reach students in this manner once Connecticut began its remote learning. Like the rest of us, our survivors had to learn to present and converse with student groups through virtual platforms. At least 1,600 students heard firsthand testimony this year, and more than 2,300 students and educators have been engaged through our virtual presentations, talks with survivors and their descendants, and participated in virtual workshops with us. Voices of Hope also organized for classes to receive copies of Elie Wiesel's Night and Barbara Berggren's Witness for My Father. Barbara is a local author and daughter of a survivor who is a well-loved speaker in schools, and we congratulate her on her first book. Students have played an integral part in our accomplishments this year, from organizing survivor talks for their communities to completing projects included in our Yom HaShoah commemoration. Students have taken an active role in raising awareness and pledging to remember. Students wrote Passover cards to survivors, conducted interviews with them, wrote poetry, and created short films to reflect what they learned through Holocaust and genocide education. Voices of Hope was honored to assist Olivia Geller and Lily Temkin with their bat mitzvah projects. Olivia honored a child who wasn't able to have her bat mitzvah due to the Shoah, and also connected with survivor B. Israel of blessed memory. Lily, a 3G, is creating an interactive student space on our new virtual exhibit to promote active remembrance. We hope to be able to assist more bar and bat mitzvah students with their projects in the future. The lessons our survivors and their descendants share make an incredible impact on students. With nearly every presentation, we see the deep reflections that students exhibit through the many thank you notes they send their speakers. Here are just a few recent notes we've received in support of our survivors and their families, which demonstrate the power of testimony. We are also starting to engage more student volunteers. We thank each of them for their dedication to our mission and the creativity they bring to these projects. Our latest student projects will each help our virtual exhibit become a go-to website for Holocaust and genocide education and remembrance. We thank Sydney Hutner for developing a Remember Wall for students, educators, and the community to post reflections of their experience in the virtual exhibit. We also thank Bekir Hudzik for helping us to add new materials and resources to teach genocide in Bosnia. Voices of Hope understands that the bulk of Holocaust and genocide education occurs in the classroom and is taught by teachers. That is why we are committed to providing educators with the tools they need to be successful in this endeavor. We continue to work with an incredible group of educators, professors, and scholars as part of the Connecticut Holocaust and Genocide Education Advisory Committee. Voices of Hope formed and leads this group to assist educators across the state in implementing the Holocaust and Genocide Education and Awareness Act, which mandates this subject to be taught in the social studies curriculum. This year, we facilitated 8 professional development webinars at no cost to teachers. These included how to teach genocide in Bosnia and Rwanda, and also genocide against Indigenous peoples, examining the immediate aftermath of the Holocaust, and a series on teaching rescue in times of conflict. The committee continues to explore best practices for teaching the Holocaust and other genocides, and is working on increasing its outreach as well as diversifying the professional development it offers.
Voices of Hope is successful because of the relationships we have built with all of our constituents. When we look back on 2020, we are thrilled that we were able to expand our connections to many new people who attended Voices of Hope programming for the first time. We're also very excited that the challenges created by virtual programming enabled people from far beyond Connecticut to take part in these programs. First, we'll take a look at our expanded social media presence. At the beginning of the pandemic, we made a strategic decision to increase our social media presence and to offer new programs on Facebook and YouTube. These included daily posts during Genocide Awareness Month, Testimony Tuesdays, which highlighted different survivors weekly, book discussions, sharing student projects, and posting recordings of our events. These efforts enabled us to reach many more people, including those who weren't able to watch the programs in real time. We increased our Facebook reach in 2020 by 21.5%. Our most successful program was the virtual reading of the names, which reached just about 4,300 people. Our disappointment in not being together in person for the event was significantly eased by being able to share it with so many people from so many different places. A highlight of 2020 was the virtual summer series we mentioned earlier. I am sorry, these things just don't go as planned, but there you go, I have a dog treat. A highlight of 2020 was the virtual summer series. 477 people participated in these programs, and 348 of them were new to Voices of Hope. We are so excited to welcome them all into our Voices of Hope community. Another disappointment of 2020 was coming to the realization that we would not be able to gather together for our annual Evening of Hope. We were thrilled to be honoring Gail Temkin, Voices of Hope's Vice President, with the Lador Vidor Award, and we wanted to create an evening that was a testament to all that she means to our community. Despite a few technical hiccups, the program was beautiful. Although we have been concerned with the response to a virtual gala, our community showed their strong support. We had a 26.5% increase in the number of unique gifts, and we had representation from 17 states plus Israel, which was up from 7 states in 2019. Again, we were shown the silver lining of the pandemic, the ability to connect with people from all over. These maps show an interesting graphic of how our reach broadened from 2019's Evening of Hope to 2020's. This chart shows Voices of Hope's funding sources from 2020. Voices of Hope is very thankful for the support of the Jewish Federation of Greater Hartford and the Jewish Community Foundation of Greater Hartford, as well as all of our very generous supporters. Voices of Hope received funding under the Small Business Association Payroll Protection Program and from the Jewish Community Foundation's Rapid Relief Fund. These protections enabled us to continue to provide education and programming throughout the pandemic. This was particularly important due to the role that Voices of Hope plays in the state of Connecticut. We were all very happy in 2018 when Connecticut passed a law mandating schools to provide Holocaust and genocide education. The mandate, however, did not come with any funding. So Voices of Hope made the decision to provide whatever resources schools, teachers, and students need to implement the mandate. Voices of Hope provides books, curriculum, museum visits, educator workshops, speakers, and films, all at no charge to the schools. Thanks to the generosity of private donors, Voices of Hope's operational and administrative costs are completely underwritten, thereby allowing us to use your donated dollars on direct programming. Now we would like to show some plans for the coming year. We will, of course, continue to provide our signature programs, including International Holocaust Remembrance Day on Wednesday, January 27th, a Yom HaShoah commemoration, reading of the names, and the descendants of the Shoah Speak Up. At this year's International Holocaust Remembrance Day, we will continue our theme of Won't Be Silent from Evening of Hope. Please send us your statements telling us what you won't be silent about, and we will include select contributions in our program. We hope in 2021 we can resume our annual Holocaust commemoration at the state capitol as well. We're also excited to bring the community another speaker series this winter. Thanks to a grant from the Jewish Community Foundation, our board will again take up the work of strategic planning, which began prior to the pandemic and which was put on pause due to the uncertainty of these times. We are extremely excited to broaden the scope of the virtual exhibit, Connecticut Remembers the Holocaust, and we will also resume work on the travel exhibit with the hope that we will be able to schedule in-person field trips towards the latter part of the year. Until that time, we will continue to schedule virtual speaking engagements and encourage the use of the in-depth materials and curriculum found in the virtual exhibit. At the same time, we'll continue to work with the children of survivors to provide them with the skills they need to speak in schools. We are hoping to create a large pool of second-generation witnesses by offering our descendants mini course again. We're currently working with the Jewish Federation of Greater Hartford to create a Chavurah group of children of survivors. This will be a place for people who are not yet involved with Voices of Hope to gather together, share their experiences, support one another, learn together, and have some fun in the process. If you are interested in joining this group, please let one of our staff members know. Our fingers are crossed that we will be able to host our second Descendants of the Shoah conference towards the end of the year. We had hoped to tell you tonight about the wonderful delegation Voices of Hope sent to the 2020 March of the Living. But unfortunately, that too, along with the 2021 trip, was canceled. We will begin, though, planning for the 2022 March of the Living trip very soon. We hope that many of you will join us. All of this will make for a very busy year when we will also work hard to broaden Voices of Hope's presence in Connecticut and beyond, and to grow our volunteer base. If you are interested in volunteering, please let us know. We would welcome your involvement in our numerous committees and in our docent work. Finally, we are excited tonight to announce our Tzedakah Box Challenge. A number of people have already dropped off their spare change. If you are interested in participating, please let us know. We are happy to come pick it up, socially distantly, of course. And with that, we would like to welcome our newest board members.
Our board of directors met prior to this meeting and voted to approve the following. We welcome back Stu Abrams, Peter Fishman, Adele Jacobs, Sharon Corman, and Dr. Joseph Olzaki for renewed 3-year terms. We welcome Neil Cochin as a new board member, and we welcome Jonah Lazowski and Jake Leibowitz as our first 3rd-generation board members. We also welcome Gerald and Barbara Sperber, Rabbi and Ruth Lazowski, Ruth Weiner, and Eva Weichsel-Hausman to Voices of Hope's Advisory Board. Finally, we are proud to recognize Voices of Hope's founder, Alan Lazowski, as well as Alan Berkowitz and Dr. Avi Noam Pat as Directors Emeriti. We are extremely thankful to the entire Board of Directors for all their hard work and dedication to our mission. We look forward to a productive year, and we are very fortunate to have the support of such a hands-on board. At this time, we would like to take a moment of silence to remember those Holocaust survivors who passed away in 2020. We will always remember Gisela Adamski, Bernie Friedenberg, B. Israel, Miriam Letterman, and Edith Kines. Their impact on the world will last forever. May their memories be a blessing.
As we conclude, we would like to thank our many community partners. Voices of Hope is blessed to have cultivated so many strong relationships, and we look forward to our continued work together. Finally, we would like to thank everyone who contributed to further our mission in 2020. And now we would like to open up the floor to questions. Please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to submit any questions. If anybody has any questions, we are ready for them. Okay, I see. All right, I think we're good. We wish you all a very happy and healthy new year. May 2021 bring us all together again so that you will not need to hear our dogs in the background or experience our little technical errors. But we thank you very much for being here. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you all soon.